Right, let's have a quick look out the front, because we done a couple of videos last week on the back garden and the damage we sustained on some of the plants, but the front being a lot more exposed, you'd think would be just as bad if not worse. But in general, most of the stuff is looking a bit better than the stuff at the back, just due because it is open. It does get full sun all day in the winter, and that's had a chance to sort of defrost or thaw out during the freeze periods. And let's have a look at a few of the plants. And yes, the grass is very long. I don't cut it this time of year, but we've got the big Agave Americana, looking pretty good, to be fair. It is in a raised planter, so good drainage, and these do take the cold. So I think this one has taken some winter cold the last few years. And I think any brown tips we're seeing on the leaves, that is actually from the summer, where I did transplant it into this position, and I didn't really water it, to be fair. I watered it in a couple of times, but so it probably did suffer a bit from dry, even though you expect, being a sort of desert plant. But no, in general, it's looking pretty good, nice and solid after them freezes. Real big leaves on these. I think that's big enough and ugly enough to survive the winter now. Especially if it's just survived the cold patch we had, then I think we'll be okay with that. So I'm not going to go for every plant. We'll just look at the highlights of any damage. So we have got a Washingtonia robusta here, which some of the old leaves have taken the frost and sort of browned, but to be fair, all the centre spears still look pretty green. The cord lines, to be expected, these are more sort of tender types. So we've got a can, which has pretty much lost all its colour. We've got a superstar, which I've got a couple of these out the back, which look similar. They lost a bit of colour in the leaves, sort of go green. So I don't know whether them leaves will be totally gone, but what I am seeing is that the spears are all good, so hopefully we'll keep the height on them and they'll keep growing. Brugmansia I've left out, hoping we're going to get a mild winter, but that may well regrow from the base. Not too concerned, there's just a plain white flower on that. So we did have another yucca recurvifolia here, which I transplanted early in the season. Might have been April or May, and these things just don't know they've been moved, so you can dig them up and put them wherever you want. And interestingly, it's been trying to kick out the flower spike even through the frosts and the cold. It never really did flower properly, but I don't know if it will now. We've got some more Washingtonias here, which we can see has got looking a bit freeze dried, but I'm not too concerned. I think the centre leaves will be good on them. We've got some more Washingtonia right at the front there, and we've got a little Phoenix canariensis looking fine. Another little cord line here, which seems to be absolutely fine, which I transplanted from a pot I had. Couldn't really see them, so this is one of two I had grown in a pot. I've got the other one in the summer house because that looked a bit weaker and I did lose a few fronds, but this one was the stronger one, and not seen any damage on that whatsoever. So that's hopefully gonna survive okay. Euphorbia mellifera, we can see is looking pretty good. Not really seeing too much damage on most things. I've got really small Washingtonia robusta grown from seed a couple of years back, so that'll be a real test for that little palm, and probably a bad year for it, but I planted this in the summer. This is a edible date palm, Phoenix dactylifera, and I thought I'd give one. I had loads of these, so I thought I'd try one in the ground, and we'll see on that account whether that took that cold. So the tree fern, obviously, where the multiple frosts, is sort of browned off on some of the leaves. So we come to this little palm, which is the Nanorops, which is probably the cold hardiest palm in the world. I know a lot of people say the needle palm is, and it might take the damp and cold, where this one will take dry cold, and this will take down to minus 22 Celsius, so in a drier environment. But that's quite a stiff silvery leaf. Looks a bit like a dwarf palmetto at the moment. Slightly more sort of a bluey grey leaf to them, but yeah, that's seems to be okay. It's been out for a couple of years now, a couple of winters, and first winter I did cover it over just to keep it dry, but this winter I thought we'll push it a bit. And yeah, some of the old fronds have got brown spotting on, but you're going to get that with more sort of arid palms in a damper environment. That you do get that. You'll get that with your Camerops humanus, and the more sort of Mediterranean sort of dry type palms, they will get brown spot on the leaves. But we can see there's a couple of good growth points on this, and I've left the leaves fall as they are, just to protect the base of it. But yeah, we can see that is slowly pushing out some new fronds on the growing points, so that'll be one to watch over the next few years. And we have got some evergreens between all the dead cannas. I think that's Formium Yellow Wave, that one. So I've got little Tetrapanics which I transplanted from the front to the back here, sort of late in the season, and obviously it has dropped all its leaves. Not concerned about that. So we've got the Cacti there, which has been in the ground there for, this will be a second winter, and that's really put on a decent amount of trunk. It's really had practically no trunk when I planted it 2 years ago, and it's done rather well. Load of cacti there which I didn't know what to do with, so I just left them against the house, and they haven't even collapsed. So that's surprising for the cold period we just had, along with some Washingtonia robusta in pots, looking okay. Another Phoenix canariensis in a pot, and a Camerops humanus in a pot, which is starting to get quite a nice little chunk on this one, quite a fat little chunk. So these are going to be kept in pots their whole life, so I don't expect them to get too big, but again, because they're close proximity to the house, they should be warm enough to survive the winter, so I'm not too concerned. I don't think these would have froze all the way through, and to be fair, they look pretty good still. Still got a couple of spears coming, one just opening out. So yeah, I think in general the front garden has fared a lot better than the back. We have got some cacti in the centre bed here which has collapsed, but that is what they do. These are pointier cacti, they do tend to sag over and collapse in cold periods. worst case scenario, the pads fall off and that'll regrow from the pad that's still in the ground, or hopefully they'll just pop back up again and away they go in the spring. So we've got various types here, and this one's probably looking the worst out of the lot, but again the stuff in the centre is still sort of upright, so we'll see on that account. We've got my ugly boot here, as I call it. So this is the plain green one, which looks like it has taken a bit of damage, but again this is quite an exposed position, so I took the cold winds and the frosts we've had. But yeah, I don't expect for it to drop down and die on me. I'll just take a bit of damage and hopefully bounce back next year when it starts growing again. So this is something I talked about but never really show on the videos, because originally I normally just have a sort of end-set red banana in here in the summer, but I just found it took too much water and they never really done too much for me. So I did say I was going to swap it for a palm. So we have got quite a small Braheo amata, which I've had for about 4 years from a little tiny strap leaf I brought for about a £5. Tiny little strap leaf about that big, and this is 4 years on, so not the quickest, but I thought I'd plant it out, and it's had a real cold blast. We've, like I say, we've had sort of -4s, and looking pretty good. A little bit of spotting, and we've got a little spear coming. Got 2 good leaves on it. The old leaf is sort of given up, so that's going to be one to watch. I have had this sort of in cold frames the last few winters out, so it's been seeing the cold temperatures, but this is fully exposed now, so hopefully that'll pull through, and we'll have a nice little palm there. It is in a raised planter again, so hopefully that's enough just to drain it through, enough to stop it rotting off. These are just red star cord lines, which are actually still in pots, and I've just sort of buried around the palm now there, just to give a bit more interest, because the palm's not looking much at the moment. But yeah, we can see that these have taken a bit of damage, the red stars, but not to the point where it's going to kill them or collapse on me. Some are looking better than others, and it's not looking too bad at all, that one, whereas this one is, yeah. Anyway, I think we'll leave it at that. So that's just a look at the garden after the front garden after the frosts, and yeah, so it's Boxing Day, day after Christmas Day, and like I say, it's cool, sunny but cool, bit blowy. Right, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching.